All right, thank you guys. Happy Hump Day Wednesday to you. And if you find yourselves really enjoying this video here today, please feel free to give it a thumbs up by hitting that like button, smashing that like button. That's what all the YouTubers say. You got to smash the like button. And if you haven't already joined the Brock Page delegation, please feel free to do that right now by tapping that subscribe button below. I don't think you smash the subscribe button. Maybe you do. I don't know. Here you tap it. But anyway, we got ourselves a massive slate of NBA action here today, so let's go ahead and dive into it. The Celtics take on the Sixers, 7 p.m. Eastern tip-off in South Philly. Now, the Sixers are the 5-point favorite with a total at 220.5. The Celtics are plus 175 on the money line. Now, we're 5-2 with a push in our last 8 extra daily picks on patreon.com/BrockPage. And if you want to unlock today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99 when you click the link in the description section below. We currently have a community of over 1,025 sports bettors just like you who are signed up and active on that page. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, the Celtics have failed to cover the point spread in 3 out of their last 6 ball games on the road. They're actually last in the NBA defensively in third quarter points allowed, and they're also in the bottom 10 in fourth quarter scoring. Langford, Tatum, and Edwards are out for tonight's contest. They're taking on a Sixers team who's going to have Joel Embiid back in the lineup here tonight. It's also a Philadelphia team who's a dominant 7-1 straight up at the Wells Fargo Center. They're first in the NBA in second quarter scoring at home as well. Joel Embiid scoring 25 points a game, 12 boards and 3 assists for the 7-foot center. Meanwhile, Tobias Harris is also scoring over 19 a night himself, 7 boards and 3 assists for Toby. The Sixers score 121 points a night at the Wells Fargo Center. They're also in the top 5 in defensive field goal percentage. Now, total-wise, 2 out of Philadelphia's last 3 ball games got over the number. They're also 5-2 to the over in their last 7. Meanwhile, 5 out of Boston's last 8 contests got over the total themselves, throwing out the Knick game. I'm going to lean toward the Philadelphia 76ers -5 and the over 220.5. Before we go ahead and move on here, guys, just want to take another quick timeout and welcome you to the video. Got some lines and personal leans out for NBA action here on a Wednesday. Once again, happy hump day to you. Congratulations, you're at the halfway point here in the week. The weekend is right around the corner. Now, before we go ahead and dive into some more free content right here on YouTube, every once in a while I forget my lines. I've said that before, but anyway, before we dive into some more free content, I just have to quickly remind you once again that we are 5-2 with a push in our last 8 extra daily picks on patreon.com/BrockPage. And if you want to unlock today's extra daily pick, it's only going to cost you just $2.99. And just remember, guys, when you sign up for a membership on Patreon, you're going to get access to all the lesser expensive memberships absolutely free. So once again, when you sign up for one of my memberships on Patreon, you're going to instantly get access to all the lesser expensive tiers absolutely free. The cheaper memberships are included with your purchase. And for those who are wondering what the difference is between my free picks here on YouTube and my Patreon site, what I do on Patreon is I make life a lot easier for you as I break down the daily card and focus in on just 4 to 5 premium selections per day. They're my personal plays, games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much, I'm having a lot more success wagering on games that way, in smaller sample sizes versus betting on every single game on the slate, side and total, like I do here with my free leans on YouTube. And once again, guys, I'm proud to say this. We currently have a community of over 1,025 members who are signed up and active on that site. So if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that page is in the description section below. And once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And moving on, guys, despite having this particular, Wizards-Hornets game postponed, we still have a ton of games to get through. I'm leaning toward a good amount of underdogs here today, so stay tuned our next game. It is going to be Nets versus the Cavs. 7 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Cleveland. Now, the Nets are the 10-point favorite on the road. Numbers 224 flat. But as good as the Nets have been playing recently, and as good as their acquisition of James Harden has been, they've covered in just 2 out of their last 4 road games, and they do find themselves in the bottom 10 in road defensive rebounding. The Nets are also giving up 114 points a night, and they're going to still have to go to work without Claxton and Dinwiddie. It's going to be interesting to see the dynamic with Kyrie Irving returning tonight as well. We're looking at a Brooklyn squad who's in the bottom 5 in the NBA in first quarter scoring on the road. Now they're taking on a Cleveland squad who's won 3 out of their last 6 home games, and they rank in the top 3 defensively in points allowed. The Cavs are giving up just 103 points per contest. Cleveland's also in the top 10 in home defensive rebounding. Now, good news here, Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, they've been upgraded to day-to-day, so there is a possibility we could see one or both of them in action tonight. Andre Drummond's also scoring nearly 20 points a night, along with 16 boards and 3 assists. Drummond's actually leading the NBA in rebounding. Now, the big center is also averaging 2 steals and a couple of blocks a night as well. Meanwhile, Cedi Osman's also getting over 13 points a game himself, 4 boards and 4 assists for the 6'7" forward. Now, total-wise, Cleveland's 9-1 to the under in their last 10 ball games, 77% to the under for the entire season. Meanwhile, Brooklyn saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Cleveland stay under the line themselves. If you're into historical trends, I'm going to lean toward the Cleveland Cavaliers plus 10 and the under 224. Next contest, Mavs, Pacers, 7 p.m. Eastern start time in Indiana. The Dallas Mavericks are -1 on the road here. Totals 218.5. The Mavs are on a 3-game losing streak. Bottom 10 in the NBA in scoring. Kleba, Richardson, Powell, and Finney-Smith, they're all out for the Mavs. Tim Hardaway Jr. is questionable. Now, the Mavericks are in the bottom 10 in three-point shooting, and they also rank in the bottom 10 in defensive rebounding. They're taking on a Pacers team who's 8-5 straight up on the season, and they rank in the top 10 in home scoring. And real quick, just kind of, I guess it's on topic, but how about that Karis LeVert news? Got traded to the Pacers after a very solid stint in Brooklyn, fan favorite in Brooklyn, only to have the doctors find a mass on his left kidney during his physical. And the only reason why he'd take that physical would be because of a trade. So that trade, to the Pacers very well could have saved his life. And of course, thoughts go out to Karis LeVert and his family. I'd love to see him back on the court soon, but most important, I'd like to see him make it through this tough time. That is a very serious medical thing to happen there. So keep your thoughts with Karis LeVert. But anyway, guys, Malcolm Brogdon, he's leading the Pacers with over 22 points a game, 4 boards and 8 assists for the starting point guard. Brogdon's also grabbing 2 steals a night defensively. Meanwhile, Domantas Sabonis is scoring 22 points a game himself, 13 rebounds and 6 assists for the 6'11" power forward. Indiana's in the top 10 in home field goal percentage, top 10 in home defensive rebounding. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Indiana's last 5 got over the posted number, 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with Dallas. I'm going to lean toward yet another underdog here. Give me the underdog Indiana Pacers plus 1 and the over 218.5. All right, next contest. It is going to be Heat versus the Raptors, 7:30 p.m. Eastern start time. Toronto's -4 with the total at 222 flat. The Raptors are 4-2 straight up as the official home team. They're also currently on a 3-game winning streak. The Raptors are in the top 10 in defensive field goal percentage at home. They find themselves allowing just 106 points a game on their home court in Tampa. Kyle Lowry scoring 19 points a game for the Raps, 6 boards and 7 assists for the starting point guard. Meanwhile, Freddie Van Fleet is scoring 19 points a game himself, 4 boards and 6 assists for Freddie. Toronto's in the top 10 in the NBA in shooting the 3 ball. They're also taking on a Miami squad who's lost 4 of 5 away from their home court. Not a long trip for them, but if they're not playing at home, they're not playing all that well. The Heat's also going to have to go to work tonight without Leonard, Butler, and Bradley. All the while, Vincent, Hero, and Dragic are all listed as questionable as well. So these guys are a little bit depleted right now. Miami's in the bottom 3 in offensive rebounding, and they give up 118 points a night away from home. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Miami's last 5 straight all got over the posted number, 4-1 to the over on the road this season. Meanwhile, Toronto saw 6 out of their last 9 ball games get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Raptors, -4 in the over 222. All right, next contest, it is going to be Pistons versus the Hawks, 7:30 p.m. Eastern tip-off. The Atlanta Hawks are -5 with a total at 220. Now, Atlanta's in the top 3 in offensive rebounding, top 3 in defensive field goal percentage as well. The Hawks are allowing just 103 points per contest on their home court. Trae Young scoring 23 points a game, 5 boards and 9 assists for Young. Meanwhile, DeAndre Hunter scoring 17 points a game himself, 6 rebounds and a couple assists for the forward. Atlanta's in the top 5 in home offensive rebounding, and they lead the NBA in home defensive field goal percentage. Now they're taking on a Detroit squad who lost 6 out of their last 8 ball games, and they find themselves just 1-5 straight up on the road. Detroit's dead last in offensive field goal percentage as well, and they're also dead last in offensive rebounding on the road. Now the Pistons are letting their opponents shoot 52% from the field when they travel, and when it comes to the number in this one, Detroit's last 2 straight both got over the posted total, 5-1 to the over on the road this season. Meanwhile, the Hawks saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Detroit get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Hawks -5 in the over 220. All right, next ball game I have for you, it is going to be Orlando versus Minnesota, 8 p.m. Eastern start time. Now the Magic's -3.5 on the road, totals 217 juice to the under. Now Orlando is playing some pretty terrible basketball right now, 6-game losing streak, 1-5 against the spread during that span. They're going to have to go to work without Mo Bamba and Michael Carter-Williams. Meanwhile, Aminu and Fournier are questionable for the Magic as well. Orlando's dead last in shooting the 3-ball, and they score just 104 points a game. But if it's just offense you think is the problem with Orlando, the Magic also allows nearly 116 points per contest when they travel. So really just not a great recipe of trends here for Orlando backers. Now they're taking on a Minnesota squad who successfully covered the number in 2 out of their last 3, throwing out the Atlanta game. The T-Wolves also got the job done in 3 out of their last 6 home games against the spread. The Timberwolves are in the top 10 in home offensive rebounding. They're also in the top 10 in fourth quarter scoring at home. D'Angelo Russell scoring 22 points a night along with 3 rebounds and 6 assists. Russell's also averaging 2 steals a night defensively. Meanwhile, Malik Beasley is also scoring 20 points a game himself, 5 boards and a couple assists for the guard. Now, total-wise, Minnesota's 6-2 to the over in their last 8. They're also 67% to the over on their home court. Meanwhile, 6 out of Orlando's last 8 road games got over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Minnesota Timberwolves +3.5 in the over 217. All right, next contest, it is going to be Suns Rockets, 9:30 p.m. Eastern tip. The Suns are -5.5, numbers 217 and a hook. Now, Phoenix is on a 2-game losing streak, bottom 5 in the NBA in offensive rebounding. The Suns are averaging just 109 points a game when they travel, and they'll have to go to work tonight without Smith, Jones, and Saric. They're taking on a Houston squad who's won 3 out of their last 6 home games themselves, and they actually lead the entire NBA defensively in third quarter points allowed at home. Now, Victor Oladipo scored 32 points in his Houston debut, 5 boards and 9 assists for the newly acquired shooting guard. Meanwhile, Christian Wood is dropping 24 points a night himself, 11 boards and a couple of blocks for the 6'10 center out of UNLV. When it comes to the scoring in this one, Houston's most recent outing with Chicago got over the posted number. Meanwhile, Phoenix saw 4 out of their last 5 get over the line themselves, throwing out the Memphis game. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Houston Rockets +5.5 and the over 217 and a hook. All right, next contest, it is going to be Grizzlies versus the Blazers, 10 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Portland. Now, the Blazers are -1 at home, numbers 223 flat. The Blazers are covering just 25% of their games at the Moda Center this season. They're also going to have to go to work without their leading scorer, C.J. McCollum, who's out indefinitely with a hairline fracture in his foot. I think most doctors say a clean break is better than a hairline fracture. I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But apparently that's going to be a problematic injury for CJ. Now, the Blazers are in the bottom 5 in offensive field goal percentage, bottom 10 in home offensive rebounding. The Blazers also give up 116 points a night on their home court. They're taking on a Memphis squad who's been very good on the road this season. 4-1 straight up when they travel, 4-1 against the number in those road games. The Grizzlies are officially on a 5-game winning streak, and they successfully covered the point spread in 7 out of their last 9. Memphis is in the top 10 defensively in three-point percentage on the road. And they're also allowing just 105 points a game away from their home court. Now, John Morant scoring 23 points a game after missing significant time here. 2 boards and 7 assists for the point guard. Meanwhile, Dillon Brooks is also scoring over 15 a night himself. 4 rebounds, along with 3 assists. Now, keep in mind here, guys, big man Jonas Valanciunas, he's out for tonight's action, so maybe look for Memphis to play a little bit of small ball here. But regardless, I do like Memphis's chances covering the number here. Now, real quick, total-wise, Memphis's last 2 straight both stayed under the posted number. 7-2 to the under in their last 9. Meanwhile, Portland's gone 5-3 to the under in their games on their home court this season. So we might see some more of the same without their leading scorer. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Memphis Grizzlies +1 and the under 223. All right, next contest, it is going to be Kings versus the Clippers, 10 p.m. East in Los Angeles. The Clippers are -10.5, totals 230. LA is on a 4-game winning streak, 5-2 straight up as the home team this season. They're leading the NBA in three-point percentage and defensive rebounding. Paul George is scoring 25 points a game for Los Angeles, 6 boards and 5 assists for the shooting guard. Meanwhile, Kawhi Leonard's also dropping 24 points a night himself, 5 rebounds and 6 assists for the MVP. The Clippers are connecting on 44% of their three-pointers, and they hold their opponents to just 108 points a night. Now, they're taking on a Sacramento squad who hasn't been playing great basketball lately. They're on a 3-game losing streak, and they also lost 8 out of their last 10. Now, the Kings are dead last in the association defensively in points allowed. They're also dead last in field goal percentage and three-point percentage defensively. The Kings allow 124 points per contest and nearly 51% shooting from the field from their opponents. Now, Whiteside and Bagley are both questionable for tonight's contest. And when it comes to the number in this one, Sacramento's last 4 straight all got over the posted total, 80% to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Clippers are 71% to the over as the official home team, 70% to the over in their last 10 meetings with the Kings. I'm going to lean toward the LA Clippers -10.5 and the over 230. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Spurs versus the Warriors, 10 p.m. Eastern tip-off in the Bay. The Warriors are now the 1-point favorite. We saw this line continue to flip all morning, so there's a possibility that you bet this game as a pick or maybe even Spurs -1. But anyway, I have the Warriors -1 with the total at 228.5. Now, the Warriors have won 5 out of their last 8 ball games, top 5 in the NBA in defensive field goal percentage at home. Steph Curry scoring over 28 points a night, 5 rebounds and 6 assists for the All-Star. Meanwhile, Eric Paschall is scoring over a dozen a game himself, along with 3 rebounds, mostly from the bench, by the way. The Warriors are in the top 5 in second quarter scoring, top 3 in fourth quarter scoring as well. They're taking on a Spurs team who really doesn't rebound defensively all that well. They're in the bottom 3 in the NBA in defensive rebounding, and they're going to have to go to work without Diop, Samanik, and Weatherspoon. The Spurs have dropped 8 out of their last 9 ball games at the Chase Center if you're into historical trends. When it comes to the total on this one, 4 out of San Antonio's last 5 ball games stayed under the posted number. Golden State is 5-1 to the under in their last 6 themselves. The Warriors also saw 71% of their home games stay under the line this season as well. I'm going to lean toward the Golden State Warriors -1 and the under 228.5. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our quick pick recap. Once again, brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage, where we are 5-2 with a push in our last 8 extra daily picks on that website. I like the Sixers -5 over 220.5. I also like the Cavs +10 under 224. I'm leaning toward the Pacers +1 over 218.5. I also like the Raptors -4 over 222. I'm leaning toward the Atlanta Hawks -5 over 220. I also like the Minnesota Timberwolves +3.5 over 217. I like the Houston Rockets +5.5 over 217 and a hook. I'm also leaning toward the Grizzlies +1 under 223. I'm leaning toward the Clippers -10.5 over 230. And before I give you our next and final game, one final reminder that today's extra daily pick is just $2.99 when you click the link in the description section below. And please feel free to give this video a thumbs up right now if you enjoyed it. You can also subscribe right now if you haven't done so already. I'm going to lean toward the Golden State Warriors -1 and the under 228.5. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into some shout-outs to our top 10 commenters yesterday on YouTube. Shout-out goes to Brian Resnikoff, Pew Pew Guy 310, Big Lex 785, Nicholas Brown, DJ Wavy, Arthur Meade Jr., Vernon Williard, Luis Perez, Michael Hill, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my good friend, Scott Kaler. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind we'll bill you the day you sign up, and then the first of every month following that. Also, keep in mind, if you sign up for a package here today, all the lesser expensive memberships are absolutely free. They're included with your purchase. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Wednesday to you, happy hump day to you, and I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.